And it's your brother and business king, Rob, one more time, right back with you in a very turbulent political landscape. But what's new? Today, I want us to meet Congressman Al Green, a steadfast advocate for justice and equality, representing Texas's 9th congressional district since 2005. Born on September 1st, 1947 in New Orleans, Louisiana, Al Green's upbringing emphasized the importance of education and resilience. He attended Florida A&M University, Howard University, and the Tuskegee Institute before earning his Juris Doctorate from the Thurgood Marshall School of Law in 1973, which would be TSU. If I am not mistaken, that's where the Thurgood Marshall School of Law is. I myself briefly considered going there when I had a little itch to get into the law game. But here I am. I said I think economics, finance, real estate, those things would serve me a little bit better. Green's commitment to public service led him to serve as a justice of the peace in Harris County from 1977 to 2004. During this time, he also presided over the Houston branch of the NAACP for approximately 10 years, championing civil rights and community empowerment. So obviously, Al Green is a force when it comes to Texas politics and the justice system. In 2004, Green was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he has been a vocal advocate on issues such as affordable housing, disaster relief, and veterans affairs. All things that, are extremely important. There is a section of society that is impoverished, downtrodden, or even, downright subjected to, just harsh realities that a lot of our community or our other populace haven't had to go through. So he stood in defense of these situations and these circumstances. But why are we here? Well, I think if you saw what happened last night on March 4th, 2025, during President Donald Trump's address to Congress, tensions escalated as partisan divides took center stage. It's no secret that the Dems and Republicans have been at odds for a very long time, and I think it hasn't been highlighted as much as recently. Trump has been very polarizing, Elon as well. That the fast track of actions that they have taken once Trump has taken office. I believe he's 45 days in now, and it's been very upsetting. And the Democrats really seem like they haven't had a chance to gain a footing because things have been moving so fast. And last night was an opportunity for them to show up together and show their displeasure about, the things that have been done, more in a show of solidarity. So it was very interesting to see Al Green, Congressman Green, known for his outspoken criticism of President Trump, interrupted the speech, challenging the president's mandate and protesting proposed cuts to Medicaid. His actions eventually led him to be removed from the chamber, which a lot of people have issues about, considering that the actions of the Marjorie, I can't remember her last name or position right now, but during President Biden's speech, she acted a fool apparently and was not removed. So, it's some obvious, changes in treatments from one side to the next. It's a shame to see because as a government, as a whole, the split and the bickering and the inability to work together and coexist for the greater good of the American people is the thing that's most shameful in my eyes. I don't really have opinions about one side or the other. I look at how it affects the markets and how it trickles down to jobs, job growth, consumer spending, management ordering, product ordering. That really drives the economy and affects the common man in ways that really aren't highlighted enough amongst the common man. But when you look at this bipartisan relationship, it seems like a high school popularity contest where two factions really can't get along and come together for the good of the people that they're normally serving. And it's sometimes a shame to see that certain issues will get highlighted as the things that people want to make a fuss about, but there are so many issues that affect us all, and it seems like it can be self-serving a lot of times. So salute to Congressman Green for the optics of how it presented itself. He's standing for the people. He's got a long, rich history of standing and serving the people. He is a black man in Congress and has been in politics and service for a number of decades. So definitely want to salute him. Definitely not easy to stand up in that environment and make your voice heard. And hopefully these two parties can find a way to put away the obvious disdain for each other and the obvious tit for tat pettiness of what they've got going on, and come together for the good of the American people. There is good and bad, wrong and right in everything. Neither side is completely or absolute in anything. So to reach an absolute, or the closest to an absolute that we could even think of, it would take both of them to work together. Has Trump and Elon come in with a seemingly reckless plan to kind of burn everything down and then rebuild? Of course. Have the Democrats been complicit or maybe ignorant in allowing things to get a little bit out of hand when it comes to spending, wastefulness, and maybe highlighting issues that don't directly benefit the whole? I believe so. But together, with putting ego and personal feelings aside and really, putting your head down and working for the people that you're supposed to serve, I believe these issues aren't the hardest to come to an agreement about and execute a plan for. So Green's protest was a part of a broader Democratic dissent. Lawmakers displayed signs reading "No King" and "Save Medicaid," while some exited the chamber in protest. Some also had signs that said "False" and "No Musk," I believe it was, or "Musk sucks," something like that. I can't remember, but it was interesting. I really only watched a few minutes of it. When it comes to things like that, if it isn't solution oriented, it's like watching a soap opera or something, man. I'm not interested. I'd rather catch the financial news in the morning and check how it relates. Speaking of, some equities, some futures are up. I think S&P is up right now a little bit. I know all of crypto was up this morning. So the response is to the degree of the investment landscape. People believe that with somewhat of an ease in the tariff situation between Canada and Mexico, that Trump is saying he might come to some type of middle ground with people. The uncertainty is fading slowly, but it's still a long way to go, and it'll never be an absolute. It'll never be perfect. So, the Democratic Party's primary concerns with President Trump really include healthcare, with the opposition to proposed cuts to Medicaid and changes to the Affordable Care Act. He was very critical of Obamacare way before he even got in office the first time. So that's interesting, and remains to be seen what will happen with free healthcare. Immigration, obviously, been a huge thing of his since before his first term. the Democrats have an issue with and have criticism of strict border control policies and enforcement measures. However, myself having a good friend who passed behind fentanyl use, that's a touchy subject. So, yeah, as the Justin Trudeau said recently, the passing of fentanyl through Canada's border, our northern border, there was about half an ounce confiscated. So that's down about 99.8% or something like that. So Canada has done their part in, really trying to control that border, and it's passing of. I mean, it's hard though, on both borders. It's just you can't completely control, but you can do enough to whereas. And then the thing with China and them having the precursors for the fentanyl manufacturing, it's a huge thing. So it depends on where you stand, and a lot of these things have personal connections to people, and that's why a lot of decisions can't be agreed upon. But when it comes to border control, I guess it's just how you see it. There are people that come from our southern border that come over here for a better life, and you have to be sympathetic with that. And then, you have other people who normally are the few making it hard for the whole, which come over here with more nefarious intents. Some of the other Democratic Party's concerns with President Trump include economic policy, obviously concerns over tariffs, tax cuts favoring the wealthy, which is always a concern, and reductions in social program funding, which is probably the main concern. We've all seen the backlash over the U.S. aid. We all see issues, and another reason that Congressman Green was even standing up, when you're talking about Social Security and Medicare. So, it's just it's kind of that's what it is with the standing of who we're dealing with when it comes to these governmental issues and policies. And then finally, environmental policies kind of round out the concerns and the Democrats' disapproval of withdrawing from international climate agreements and rolling back environmental regulations. And so it just depends, you always want to do your independent research in this. And, when you think of the World Health Organization and when you think of, the climate agreements, international climate agreements, you can argue that you can argue both sides of it. You should do your own independent research and really be a self-sustaining and a self-thinking individual and citizen, and don't let anybody influence you to think outside and to think with emotion. You got to approach these things objectively, and even though you have yourself or loved ones who've been affected by these decisions, you should definitely try to be as objective as possible and gather the most information, analyze it, and really apply it to how you're going to live your life and structure your life. So Congressman Al Green's recent actions underscore his dedication to advocating for marginalized communities and holding the administration accountable, reflecting the broader Democratic resistance to policies they believe undermine social justice and equity. So, as I said before, stay vigilant in doing your own independent research. And it's real easy, and I think the easiest way to go about this thing is said by Jesus Christ himself. Love thy neighbor. It kind of doesn't get any easier than this. But for now, I'm going to be out of here. I got plenty more to do today. So, as usual, if you need any housing market information here in Houston, feel free to hit me up. You can email me at checkthosenumbers@gmail.com. You can @ me on Instagram @ checkthosenumbers, all together as if it were one word. And in the meantime, stay safe out there. Peace and blessings, and we will see you on the next one.